All right, let's get started then. Go ahead.
Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the show.
This is Own or Get Owned.
Educating and inspiring our listeners to own in real estate, career, and life.
I'm your host and mortgage lender, David.
And I'm your architect and real estate agent, Hiiro.
Welcome to season 3.
All right, welcome to this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we have a special guest on today's episode. Hiiro, do you want to introduce our special guest?
Yeah, our special guest for this week is Kelly Lee. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us in this beautiful house. For all those on YouTube watching.
So we actually switched studios. We're going to do this full time here now. So thank you so much, Kelly.
Commute to this place every day.
Yeah. So we're in beautiful Malibu.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for having us.
No, thank you for asking me to interview.
And the cocktail too. Thank you.
Oh yeah, the lychee cocktails are great. Shout out Kelly for being bartender at the same time.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. So if you want to give us a quick intro and kind of who you are and your story.
Okay. My name's Kelly Lee. I guess you can say that I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a master of none. And I used to think that that was a bad thing. And I thought like, okay, I need to find this passion. And if I don't have it, then there's something wrong with me because I just had so many people who are around me who are like so gung-ho about one thing. So at the moment, I have a wagyu direct-to-consumer wagyu company. I'm also a luxury event manager, an aspiring stationery designer, and right now I'm trying to find the bridge between beauty, fashion, and tech. So there's kind of a lot of things that I'm working on.
Yeah. Do you get any sleep? Like you have a lot going on.
I do. I actually get a lot of sleep. I think it's really important to actually prioritize like taking care of yourself because if you don't, then you really can't get anything done.
Very well said.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I appreciate your enthusiasm in all types of careers. I feel like I can relate to you in that way too. So yeah.
Yeah, you do a bunch of different things.
Not as much as you apparently.
So, I mean, how did you get started? Like, let's say, after college, we went to school together. That's how I actually originally know you. Went to UC Irvine.
Yeah, I went to UC Irvine. I met Hiiro at BCD in Irvine.
Oh yeah.
Like
very specific memory.
That's right.
well,
Let's
we
hear-
had
let's
this
hear about
one
this.
like Greek life event, and yeah, we met at BCD in 2009.
It has to be like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
No, this is a lunchtime.
No, yeah, this is like a lunchtime like get together.
It's a wholesome activity.
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I went to UCI. I majored in business administration. When I graduated, I basically took the first job that I could get because I was like, well, I need to make money. Like there's no other way. So I started at a company and I was an accounting assistant. And I mean, I focused on accounting mostly because, you're taught like that's a secure job. People are always going to need accountants. And, at that time I was like, okay, that's fine. This is what I'm going to do. And then as I changed companies, my goal of becoming a CPA kind of like dwindled down with that because one, I just don't really want to study for that. And I kind of realized I don't think that being an accountant, 5 days a week is the right career for
Such
me.
an exciting career and job, right?
Well, the thing is, I'm like, okay, maybe if you're like a forensic accountant and you have to like dig through like the past and things like that, like that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But so as I switched companies, I was able to kind of set up a company from the beginning. So I set up all the accounting systems, the HR systems. And then I also traveled around the country meeting ranchers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
pretty
So doing that kind of gave me a look into like another side of the business. So at my old company, we were a meat import-export company, but we also created our own American beef brand that was exported to Europe.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, I was part of the entire thing, like I met the ranchers, part of the supply chain, inventory management, accounting for all of that. So I kind of like ran all of that by myself. It was just me and my boss. It was,
It's kind of like a startup, or
Yeah.
it is a startup environment then.
yeah, I mean, but the thing is I wouldn't exactly call it a startup because when I think startup, I think like tech in San Francisco and
Yeah.
they've just got like millions and millions of dollars to waste and there's like
All that
happy
seed
hour.
funding,
Yeah,
yeah.
like happy hours every day. Like it wasn't like that, But I guess it was like I learned like the nitty gritty of like what it takes to even just keep a business functioning. And then about 2 years ago, I was kind of put into a position where it was like my whole life, I was like, okay, I'm working towards this X amount of salary. And every time I hit that amount of salary, like I didn't actually feel like the happiness that I thought I was going to get. And so it was like I was battling between like, how much do I value myself and how much do these people value me? And like, is it equal? And so, yeah, I was in this position where I basically had to make what I felt like was the riskiest decision of my life, of leaving this very secure, stable job to go off on my own. And I don't want to say like it was completely like something I wanted to do, but it was something I had to do at the time.
It's your calling almost.
Yeah.
Or listen to your gut instincts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bravery to acknowledge that and take action. So, I think, it's really paid off now that you look back on it, correct?
I think so, in terms of like being able to experience a lot of different things, and again, from learning how to start this company up, the old company up from the ground up, it did prepare me for everything outside of the 9 to 5. And it showed me that like, okay, I'm not just going to be this like hourly salary man, woman, whatever. And there's like more out there.
So, I mean, it sounds like based on your previous experience with your old company, you kind of were able to network with these ranchers to get you to the position that you're in now. Were you using that network? Like, are you still using that network to kind of like funnel your business? I mean, there are still some ranchers that I keep in touch with, but I wanted to kind of see if I can make it on my own and not depend on the old relationships, just because I don't know, because if I just depended on them, then I'm kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, I've been pretty lucky in terms of finding new suppliers and getting, different vendors for like complimentary items like caviar and truffles. And I mean, that was like I was really proud of myself, because I'm not really the kind of person that's gonna be like, hey, like we should do this. We should try to like work together on these things. And I think having my own company, it's something that I have to do, like whether I want to do it or not.
Yeah, I think you really hit the market at a great time when e-commerce was blowing up and there's a lot of demand for people not having to go outside to order things.
Yeah.
And I think I really applaud you for finding the right timing to do things and being brave enough to actually take action and do it. Yeah, that's great.
That's super
Thank you very
scary.
much.
Yeah. I think we both have that kind of similar stories too, where we hit a point in our careers where we're like, oh, do we want to continue to work for this giant machine, or do we want to try something on our own? And kind of that courage it takes to do that. It's not easy.
True. I think, with anything, I think the mindset of maybe even having to do it kind of pushes you to get to that spot. So it really makes you, in hindsight, look back and say, you know what, it was really it was best choice, or else I would have been going crazy staying at where I was, right?
Well, I also think like we're so lucky to grow up in a time where everybody is like applauding you for trying to go off on your own. No one's like, oh my God, like, why would you leave this great job? Everyone's like, good, you should try it, because you know what? Like, there's still so much more of life to live. Like, if this doesn't work out, you can always get another job.
Yeah.
You have the skills, and if you do need to find another job after all of this, like your skill set is just increased and improved, and your resume is going to look even better. So you might as well just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why I relate to you so much. I always told myself, if I fail, at least it'll be a funny story. I can try again. So, yeah.
Well, I think failure is kind of the best thing you can have in life. True. Because if you don't fail, if you're not failing, that means you're not doing anything. If you're not doing anything, then you're going to be in the same spot day in and day out.
It's a great segment into our next section here. So we like to go over your best quote unquote success story and also your best quote unquote failure, or an instance where you felt like you failed.
Okay.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
And your takeaway from the lessons that you took away from both.
Okay. So I actually think that this all goes into one story. So another company that I started is a custom-made women's suit company. My business partner and I started this because we saw that there was a need in the market, because there are so many tailors and custom-made suits for men, but does not exist for women. And out of the maybe hundreds of women that I've asked, it is so hard for them to go out and buy a suit, because one, it either looks really bad on them, off the rack, and even the ones that look a little bit better, they are extremely expensive. And if you go to like a regular tailor to get one done, it's based off of a man's body. And, like
wow.
women's bodies are completely different than men's. And so we saw that there was a need. And, I very luckily got connected to somebody in Singapore, a tailor, who had the same mindset that that we had. And the way that he ran his business, exactly the way we wanted to, this like made to measure templating system. He already had that down for men's suits. And, he was also a designer. So that means he could create patterns for us. We're like, you know what? Great. So we were like in the fast lane, basically. We had calls with him every week. We went to Singapore to do some training with him, met all of his vendors. And then we even went through...
I got Penny over here as a guest. He's a little cute golden.
She's so cute, by the way. Speak.
She's sniffing the microphone.
So, we went to Singapore. We spent like an entire week training with him. And then we had some suits made. We're like, okay, this is great. Like, it's all working out. We just have to kind of get the flow a little bit better. We have to be trained a little bit better because, I'm not a tailor. But basically, if we wanted this business to work, like, I need to learn how to do this stuff. And then... So I think communication is very, very important. I know people say that all the time, but, we never had anything in writing. And he basically changed his pricing structure on us completely with like not telling us anything before doing that. And, I made the decision that like, this is not somebody that I want to do business with. Like, we're still in the honeymoon stages of our relationship. We're just getting to know each other. Like, we should be trying to work together, Yeah. And so since then, we have been trying to find someone to replace him. And it's been really difficult, mostly because I don't know anyone really in the fashion industry. I don't know anybody overseas who can help me find another tailor. And if I do find someone who's willing, like, there's just pieces that are missing. So that was a success and also the failure. But I think at the end of the day, after all of this searching, I think I have been able to try to pivot the business. And, now I have calls with some, hopefully, people who are in like fashion tech and we can work together. And then that also takes away like my need to physically go and meet, the clients. And that can also increase our sales in the future. So it's kind of like I said, every failure you learn something and then hopefully you just keep failing.
Yeah, I guess nothing goes to plan, but that on-the-go problem solving really comes in hand.
I think that brings out like the best of someone when you're like kind of backed up into a corner.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of get yourself out.
True.
Grow
Maybe not the best. It might bring out the worst in some people, but it's like you have to get out of it. Like, you just have to keep moving. You can't lose the momentum. Like, there are definitely days I wake up and I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. And I'm just saying that those are the days that you have. Like, just don't do anything, because like if you can, like if you have to go to work every day, then you go to work. But if there are days where you're just so stressed out and there's nothing you can do, like nothing good is gonna come out of you like forcing yourself.
Yeah, I guess if you're creating the business and you're responsible for everything, it'd be the worst time for you to create jobs and demand other things from people when you're angry and already stressed out.
Yeah.
Forcing creativity just sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
So I kind of went out of order. That's my bad, Hiro.
No worries. We'll just go back to the first question we always want to ask our guests.
Yes.
We want to focus on the mentality of success in terms of career, but also in real estate. Do you yourself own any property?
I do not.
That's perfectly fine. I think a lot of our listeners here are aspiring real estate owners as well. Do you wish to own in the future, or do you have any dream real estate goals?
Right now, I feel like I want to like design a really cool Airbnb in like Mexico or like Spain, or I don't know, maybe it's just like stuff I see on Instagram, but I'm like, that's pretty damn cool that like this house is on Airbnb and people want to rent it and it has its own Instagram and it's got like hundreds of thousands of followers. So
that's always been my
something
dream.
like that. I mean, and
we
it's
can
super
make something
fun.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Hiro's also an architect, so let him know. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Like when you see, I think I follow one in Joshua Tree that has like hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, and they're always booked.
Yeah.
So it's super cool.
Yeah, there's one called the Mirror House. I think it's supposed to be.
That was on
yeah.
what's that
Bling
show?
Empire?
Bling Empire.
Yeah, rest in peace to that one lady.
I
Yeah.
was so sad when I
know.
heard that she passed away.
She's
She
my
was my
favorite
favorite.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's so
yes,
dynamic.
yes.
And she's the best.
I just love her because she doesn't care.
Yeah,
She's like, I am
she
who
did
I
her own
am.
thing.
Yeah.
I know we always throw in like an extra question that we don't prep you for. So this one.
Okay, I'm
so
scared.
on the way here,
Okay.
I found out. I was like, so Kelly, she does Fatty Cow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder how she feels about vegans. And I found that you are a vegan.
Okay. I'm not a vegan any longer, but
Oh, okay.
I was a vegan while I still worked for the meat trading company, while I was starting Fatty Cow, actually. But I was never vegan for the animals. So
Got it. So that was like the interesting thing. I was like, I wonder, because I mean, like for me, when I'm in mortgage, so when I started in the industry, obviously when I didn't own a house. So sometimes when I'm talking to people that own homes, it's kind of one of those things like I have to like not fake it, but like kind of have to like.
you're like, yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly. So I was gonna say like I didn't know if you're like vegan your entire life, and then like you're trying to like do business with like these ranchers.
This
and
thing is the best right here.
yeah, so like I was like curious to know like how you kind of went about like conducting your business, like if you were a vegan.
Okay, so I was not a vegan when I started my job, and I was like, oh my God, it was so amazing. I get to eat meat all the time. You know, it was like best job ever. And I will tell you, I did spend a lot of time in abattoirs, which is a fancy word for slaughterhouses. So I did have to see a lot of, you know, the things that people show you on like the PETA videos. And I was perfectly fine with it until one day this cow looked me in the eye. And I
got
just
real.
instantly started crying.
Oh no.
But I went on with my day thinking like, hey, this is gonna be fine. I went and had a burger right after. And also because I'm like with a bunch of guys, you know, there aren't that many women in the meat industry.
Yeah, especially that side of it.
Yeah, especially that side of it. And I was like, I can't be crying in front of my coworkers. I can't be like, I'm not okay with this. So I ate the burger and instantly I just felt sick to my stomach. I was just like
man.
thinking about this
Just
cow.
channeling all the pain.
Yeah.
It just looked into your soul.
It did.
before-
It really
oh.
did. And I instantly started crying. Like I didn't have any thoughts. It was just like cow, meat.
Oh
Tears.
man.
Oh.
So I stopped eating beef for a really long time. And then I kind of, you know, obviously kind of have to if we're like going to ranchers and they're like, hey, you need to try my steak. So it was kind of like what is the word? Like cruel and unusual punishment.
Sure. It makes you get back to the reality of what's being sacrificed for the food on your plate. I guess,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But that's not why I went vegan. I stopped eating beef because of that. I went vegan because I watched The Game Changers on Netflix. I don't know if you guys ever watched that.
I know
what
the
it is.
people in the United States.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my friend and I just decided to try it out for a week. And after that 1 week, we're like, dude, we feel amazing. So we kept it up for about 3 years, actually. So I was vegan for 3 years.
Wow.
Basically until I met my boyfriend because he doesn't eat anything green. So
So whatever the opposite of vegan is.
yeah. So like when we first started dating, we had to order food from like 2 different places. I mean, at the time we weren't even allowed to go out to eat yet, right? So it kind of worked. But I was like, I can only eat green salad and fries if we go somewhere. So
So I'm sure it was a great first date.
Two DoorDash fees at the same time.
yeah, basically. And then, yeah, I kind of made the decision that like I do need to eat the meat. I have to say like, yeah, I tried this. This is good. Even though I know it's good because, you know, quality and everything. But yeah, I did make a decision to start eating meat again.
And that leads to your question.
I guess for the uneducated, especially for you being a specialist now, what type of meat's supposed to be used for what specifically? Like types of styles of food, or even like what's used for burgers, what's used for steaks, what's used for, you know, stews.
Like, cause like I feel like when I walk into like Trader Joe's, I just look at the meat. I'm like, I think this is like a steak I grill, but I don't know like if that's the right steak to grill or like to like make tacos and like cut.
Yeah,
So like, I guess
ribeye is used for steaks, for I know.
so
Chuck and stuff is more for stews, right?
Yeah. So anything that comes like kind of from the back part of the animal, that kind of anything that comes in like a big chunk, I would just stew it. But I mean, if you're asking me, I think you should use the best meat for any meal that you want. Just because it just makes it like that much better. And especially if you can buy it for the same price as like a whole steak for the same price as like 3 ounces at Mastro's, like you're getting a deal already.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's just my what I say. And I don't think you want to know what's in your burgers.
All right.
Perfect.
I don't think I want to stare at the cow in the eye either. Jeez. Another one would be, what do you look for in terms of quality when it comes to beef? In terms of the steaks that you have for your own business as well. What exactly are those premier types of attributes that you're looking for?
I think one, it really does depend on the ranch that it's coming from, but I mean, by the time it gets here, it's already been graded. So there's like a grading system that you have to go by, and you just buy the highest.
I see. That makes
So
sense.
like when you see like choice or USD,
Oh yeah.
Wagyu.
I have a friend that actually works there.
That's right,
He does
yeah.
grading. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wait, where? Here?
He does a USDA Choice Prime and all that, Select and everything. He goes to different ranchers and does that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, actually, I should probably put you guys in touch.
Yeah. I used to follow the grader around at like 5 o'clock in the morning when he's like looking at all of the cattle carcasses, and I'd be like, I think that one's a prime, even though it was like definitely not a prime, but trying to just like,
Trying to get your feet wet.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, just rate that one a prime.
All right. And then for the last question here, so we always want to kind of help our. Okay, actually, not the last question. So, what drives you to do these endeavors, like all these businesses? Like, what's like your like inspirational factor or like your drive?
I think like my whole life I've just never wanted to be mediocre. And I did watch my parents work really hard like their entire lives, and it's like they don't have, you can work as hard as you want for for your entire life, but you won't have anything that you own that's yours. So, I want something that's mine. And even if it doesn't work out in the end, I can say like, I did that.
I think it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, definitely want to own, not get owned.
Exactly.
That was very on brand.
I was waiting to use that one.
All right. Well,
I can't see that for you.
Our signature part is just a tip. We want to give our listeners here at Owner Get Owned a little bit of a little tidbit for them to take home from you. What would be your own just a tip for our listeners who are aspiring to succeed and own in their own lives?
So there's this quote that I read by Jane Fraser. She is Citigroup's CEO. And it really resonated with me. So she said, I've learned to be much bolder. If you make a bad decision, you just make another one. And like that's just kind of like you just keep going. Like that you can't stop making decisions for yourself.
Wow. I like that. That was powerful. Yeah, basically don't be scared of failure. It'll teach you everything.
And I think it's because we grow up and they're like, oh, like this is bad, you're gonna fail. And then if you're a failure, then no. Like you need to teach people like, yes, not everything is going to work out the way you want it to. Most things in life are not going to work out the way you want them to. And you just can't be scared of that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like I learn more from my failures than I do my, like, what do you call it? The wins. The wins always make me too cocky or arrogant, and I end up making stupid mistakes afterwards. And failures really humble me. So,
I can definitely say that with my professional career too. I mean, some of the mistakes I've made, I mean, I think I've learned a lot from them. And that's kind of put me into like higher places where I'm happy to be.
Yeah. If you stick your fingers in fire, you're not going to do it again, right?
Hopefully not.
Or like the lighter thing. The old cars. All right. So Kelly, where can people find you like on your socials?
So Fatty Cow, FATTYCOW. It's on Instagram. We also have a website. Same thing, www.fattycow.com. And if you want to keep up with Uncommon Hems, which is the suit company, Uncommon Hems with an S at the end.
Perfect. We'll make sure to link it on the bottom of our episode so people can find you as well.
Perfect.
Kelly, thank you so much. It's been an honor to interview you.
Thank you, guys.
Having us at this beautiful house.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, and the cocktails and the herbs over there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thank you for the podcast, thank you for the show. You just finished listening.